So let's give our take, folks, on this Raja Jackson Psycho Stu situation that's really blown up social media. And it comes down to this. Apparently, Raja Jackson, son of Quentin Rampage Jackson, was invited to this event by a friend of his who is a worker at the event. Raja was live streaming backstage, and one of the workers, which is Psycho Stu, evidently thought that this was part of the show and decided he was going to try to make a moment out of it or whatever, and he came over, kind of introduced himself in a bullying sort of way, saying, "Don't you know who I am?" And when Raja Jackson said, "No, I have never heard of you," he picks up a beer can and throws what certainly appears to be a very worked punch to Raja's head. The reason I say it's a worked punch is because Raja doesn't even flinch. If a 280-pound man hits you as hard as he can in the temple with a beer can, I don't care if you're an MMA fighter, you're going to flinch. In fact, you're probably going down, or at least you're going to be staggered. So obviously it was a worked punch. Raja doesn't sell it. You can hear Psycho Stu literally say, "Aren't you going to sell it?" Now, quite obviously that means it was a worked punch. Other workers get in between them because Raja clearly takes offense to this, thinks he's being disrespected, says, "I don't play that," repeatedly. Psycho Stu immediately realizes, okay, I screwed up. I thought this was a worker, and he extends his hand, which Raja refuses to shake twice. Eventually, he's told, this is the way we work sometimes. We always think we're working back here when the cameras are rolling and things. And Jackson appears to understand this finally and says, okay, I get it now. He goes over to Psycho Stu, who apologizes for the third time and extends his hand, and this time they shake hands. And Raja says to Psycho Stu, I get it now. I understand now. I was a little ticked off before, but I understand. Then the promoters come over and say, well, we could turn this into something. We could maybe make this an angle for the show, because to them, if they get Rampage Jackson's son to jump in the ring, it's a big deal, right? So they're saying, okay, let's turn this into something since it was a misfire, but we might as well make something good out of it. And they tell Raja Jackson, we're going to let you jump into his match and do something. But it's his friend AJ who calls him aside and says, yeah, you go in there and you get your receipt. Now, AJ has been on a couple of broadcasts saying, well, you don't know what a receipt means in wrestling. It doesn't mean that. No, it doesn't mean beat a guy half to death. But I'll tell you what it does mean. It means that you were hit too hard or you were wronged somehow, and now you're going to hit the guy back. You're going to do something that causes him to say, okay, that hurt. I get it. I hurt you. You hurt me. I don't recall Psycho Stu hurting Raja Jackson. That punch did not hurt him. He never flinched. It did not hurt him. It did not leave a mark. It was quite obviously a worked punch. You could see it. It didn't hurt him. There's no receipt to be had. If the receipt is for embarrassment because Raja was so dumb he didn't sell it, and then realized, oh, I look like an idiot, I didn't sell the wrestler's punch on my live stream, then too bad on Raja. There's no receipt to be had at this point, folks. There's no receipt to be had. But AJ insists there is a receipt to be had and says you need to go out there and tag him. Okay, well, Raja's not a wrestler. So when he hears go get your receipt, go tag him, someone had to clearly explain to them, by receipt, we mean if you want to slam him a little harder than you should, okay, don't hurt the guy though. This is pro wrestling. That's it. Now, Raja's claiming, well, they told me to keep pounding him until somebody pulled me off. Yeah, but they didn't tell you to pound him for real, you moron. Quite obviously, what if they told you to go in there and kill him? Is that what you're going to do? Well, that's what they told me to do. Please, that doesn't pass the laugh test. I'll tell you exactly what happened here, folks. Raja was cool with it. He understood, I'm going to slam this guy pretty hard. Then he's live streaming his whole thing. And all of these internet trolls are saying, you're a wuss. You got showed up. You look like an idiot. You look like a bitch. And he's getting madder and madder and madder. And he's saying, I'm going to show these guys. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to F this guy up. And that's exactly what he did. There is no fault at all. You can say whatever you want about Psycho Stu. Was he a little bit inebriated? It looked like it, yeah. Should he have probably picked up the beer can and hit a guy he didn't know with a worked punch? Probably not. But is that an egregious thing? Oh, I didn't know. It didn't hurt you. So, big deal. You know what it was? I looked bad. And I can't look bad in front of my live streamers. You know, an intelligent guy would have turned this into something and said, hey guys, the joke's on me. I didn't sell it. I feel like a dummy. I should have sold it, right? If I sold it, man, I could have worked this into an angle, and that would have been great. That's what Raja should have been saying. Instead is, I feel disrespected. What are you talking about? And his friend is no better. Don't sit here and piss on our legs and tell us it's raining. You told him, go get a receipt and tag him. You can say all you want. A receipt means just one little punch. No, it doesn't. Not to him it didn't, quite obviously. So you should have been very clear to him. He's not a pro wrestler. You should have said, let me explain something to you. You can go in that ring, and you can give him that slam if you want. And I understand if you slam him a little harder than normal, but past that, there's to be no real physical contact. If you can't handle that, we're not doing this. Now, the promotion also should have known. The promotion should have had somebody with Raja Jackson. And when they see him getting madder and madder, when they see his live stream is starting to blow up and he's getting angry, they should have said, we're canceling this. The proof is in the pudding that they knew something might happen because the guy who actually did pull Raja Jackson off of Psycho Stu said, I was sent out there to watch just in case something happens. What do you mean just in case something happens? If you're a promoter and you honestly say something might happen, how dare you allow it to happen? If you don't trust Raja Jackson 100%, he gets nowhere near that ring or he touches none of your wrestlers. That should be the rule. Instead, you just said, well, we'll send this guy out. And if it does get out of hand, he'll jump in. Which he did. But it was too late because there were other people in the ring he thought could handle it, like the referee, like the guy's opponent who decides to pin him after he's already unconscious and flatlined. This was a horror show. All of the blame goes to Raja Jackson as far as the physical nature of what happened. A tiny bit of the blame goes to the promotion who allowed this to happen, knowing they probably got a loose cannon and they didn't make some checks and balances to make sure he was cool and understood what exactly he was to do in that ring. And more blame goes to AJ, who told him to go out there and do it. He can say all he wants, well, I just told him to give a receipt. Everybody knows what that means in wrestling. Yeah, it means hit him back as hard as he hit you. That's exactly what it means, AJ. So if he took a beer can and gave him a mock punch to the head, one that didn't even stagger Raja, didn't even hurt him, didn't even leave a mark, then I guess that's a receipt. Giving him basically an Alabama slam on his neck, which knocked him unconscious. The slam is what knocked him unconscious. And then mounting him and punching him 24 times, breaking his bones in his face, knocking out all of his teeth, basically flatlining him. That's a receipt? And hey, AJ, that's your friend. You should have known he was volatile. You should have said, yeah, he's not of the temperament to do this, guys. I don't think we should be sending this guy in. He's my friend, and I love him, but he's a hothead, and I don't think his mind is in the right spot. So now AJ can beg off all he wants and say, I don't take any of the responsibility. Bullshit. You have some of the responsibility. No, you didn't physically tell him to go in there and pound him half to death. But you allowed it to happen knowing it might. Very simple, folks. I don't care what Mark Henry says. He's a goofball. I don't care what Chael Sonnen says. He's a goofball. What we're saying right now is accurate. There is no excuse for this. Absolutely no excuse for this. The slam was more than enough. And that should have been it. If he was told to mount him and throw punches, none of those punches should have landed. And he should have been made well aware of they better not. Because now you've got some liability, don't you? This guy, AJ, he's going to be complicit with this. The police are going to question him. And it doesn't look good for him, quite frankly. The Federation, who's telling their wrestlers, clam up, don't talk to the police. Half of the wrestlers have walked out and said, we're not going to be used this way. That was our friend. And you're telling us to clam up about this incident? I don't think so. WWE's already dropped them from their ID program. This is a horror show that should have been prevented from Jump Street. Because AJ, more than anybody else, should have went to that promotion and said, yeah, look, I know he said he was cool, but he's a little bit of a hothead, and he's getting provoked online, and I'm not comfortable. I don't think we should send him into this ring. And the promoters themselves should have been monitoring him, saying the same exact thing. Instead, they do nothing. And now a man is lying in a hospital bed. We don't know the extent of his injuries. They're covering up the extent of his injuries. The wrestler who pulled Raja off finally says it's way worse than you think. So what's your opinion, folks? Whose fault really is this? Well, leave your opinions in the comment section below, and we'll be back with more Wrestle Chat Radio. Like and subscribe.